Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Eric, and today we're going to be going over nutrition. This is going to be one of 3 videos. Today we're going to go over healthy, balanced diet for you. The next video will be overeating versus undereating, and eating too much of something versus not enough of another thing, and the symptoms that could come with it, will come with it eventually, anyways. And then the importance of a calorie, so that'll all be in the second video. And then the third video will be food intolerances versus food allergies and the spectrum associated with that. So those will come afterwards. So to get started, a balanced, healthy diet for you. So what's the point? Why do you need that? And so first and foremost, it's to nourish your body with the necessary nutrients that your body needs to do stuff throughout the day. To be strong, to have the building blocks to maintain yourself. If you don't have those building blocks, you'll fall apart. You will actually start to wither away. If you do it in a way that is planned, then good, okay, cool, but also make sure to get back to some kind of sustainable way of eating, because well, let's say you only drink water. You're just going to turn to bones at some point. You're not actually going to be able to maintain that. Water is important, as I went through in my last video, my hydration video, but you can only do that for so long. You can't drink water and that's it. That's not feasible. So you need to nourish your body. Oh, also I've got my laptop here just so I don't miss anything. I've got so many notes, just because this is a very complicated topic. So to nourish your body, then also to improve your overall ability and function, or general health, you need the food to take care of you. But also the quality of the food matters, because if you eat bad quality food, you're not really going to get the benefit of health. You're not going to have a healthy body. You're going to have the nutrients, or hopefully anyways, it really depends on what you're eating. And so if you're not eating the right things to take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to sustain your body. And by that I mean your teeth, your skin, your muscles, your bones, your organs, your joints. You just have to make sure that you're eating a balanced diet, so different things, a variety of foods, so that you can actually get what you need from those foods to sustain yourself. And then also the brain-body development. So as you are growing, or even as an adult, you can grow strong, but as a kid, you're literally growing. Your bones are growing. You're developing as a human being. You need that food to develop. So in order to take care of yourself, you need to eat a balanced, healthy diet. So maintenance and strengthening of your body in both adults and kids. And it also helps with improving your immune response. So if you have a bad diet and you get sick, there's actually a good chance that you will have a harder time recovering. And trust me when I say that that is not the most, you don't want that. You want to eat healthy so that you have a quicker immune response. And even when you're sick, eating healthy is important. Obviously your foods are going to look different, but you want to try to maintain some form of healthy diet at that time. And then even after, you just make sure to maintain a healthy diet in that sense. It improves your mental health, because when you eat healthy, it really is just you are what you eat scenario. If you eat unhealthy, you're going to feel unhealthy. If you eat healthy, though, you are going to feel better. Now, for those who have never eaten unhealthy before, when they move to unhealthy foods, they might not understand. Well, actually, they might notice the difference. It's when a person goes from unhealthy to healthy. Sometimes that's a bit harder, because the unhealthy foods sometimes taste way better. But when you eat the healthier foods, your body almost sometimes has a craving for it. And it's a mind-body connection where you know what you need. I've gained that mind-body connection over the years, and I've gotten better at understanding it. So whenever I'm feeling a certain way, I know which foods I need to feel good. But that takes practice. That takes actually, I don't, yeah, I guess you could say practice, but experience. It really does take experience to understand that mind-body connection. And one of the notes that I have here is undernourishment can cause all sorts of physiological and psychological trauma. Yep, if you do not eat the right things, specifically even for you, you can go through a form of trauma that is special to you. It really is unique per individual. Like I've gone through my own specific traumas throughout my childhood and even adulthood that were hard to describe and hard to understand. But when I figured them out, I got better. I figured it out. It's not something that I'm going to suffer through for the rest of my life, but it's something that I want to try to teach other people so that they don't have to go through the same thing. So, moving on, we're going to go over now what should be included in that balanced diet. Oh, before I do that though, I have a note here, addiction. So, like anything, you can be addicted to anything. And when I first figured out which foods that I could eat without feeling issues, without feeling pains, I have lactose intolerance and I have celiac disease. So I can't eat bread. And it sucks. Whenever I tell that to people, especially Italians, they're like, oh God, I feel for you. And it's almost like we're about to cry together, but it's like, oh, don't worry about it. My bread is overpriced, but whatever. Addictions to food, especially when you figure out what you can eat, it exists, it can happen, and that's kind of that's a part of overeating. When you become addicted to something and you have a hard time stopping, or you don't know that it's a problem, and that can cause all sorts of different issues. But we'll go over that in the next video, especially with overeating. When you figure out what you can eat without pain, that creates a different form of addiction. It creates a type of addiction where you feel more confident with what you can do, and it feels better. It feels amazing. Even when it's shit food, you feel great. So that creates another set of problems. So that's why I like to try to create this awareness so that you don't have to go through the exact same thing that I went through. I'm not saying that you're not going to go through your own form of experience, but and then I'll also include that you can eat too much of a good thing. So it can be anything. You can eat too much of carrots, celery, cucumbers, anything, you name it. But you can also undereat these things. Now, it's not to say that you need certain things. You can probably survive your whole life without specific things. But it would be nice to have a good variety, because variety does help you to keep things interesting, for one, and to keep things not complicated. To have more options is to complicate things, but symptom-wise, you won't be so overly complicated, if that makes sense. I hope it makes sense. I don't want to do this video too many times. All right, getting into the macronutrients. So the bigger one that I'm going to cover is carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is the big one because it's the one that produces the most amount of energy, gives us the most amount of energy. So when we eat carbohydrates, it turns into glucose. And that glucose is usually very usable at that moment. But if we do not use that glucose in that moment, then what happens is the glucose gets converted into glycogen. That glycogen is then stored into our muscles and into our liver. And usually this is the short-term storage. So the short-term storage is glucose. So that's where it's then usable right away, or close to right away anyways, within the first few hours of you eating it. Then there's the short term, so there's the glycogen. So it's stored in your liver and your muscles so that it can be utilized relatively quickly within I believe it's the first half of the day to a day. But then what happens if you eat too much carbs and you're not using it is that it will actually turn into fat. This is then where this becomes a bit more complicated. It will then turn into fat from the liver. I'm pretty sure here, let's just make sure I'm saying that right. So glycogen. I have some notes, and I'm also going to have these sources in the description. I'm using the Heart and Stroke Foundation. One of them is actually going to be from sugar.ca, and Canadian. Got to stay Canadian for the current times that we're in, considering all the tariff wars and everything. Stored in the liver and muscles until needed, then converted back into glucose again. So that's when we use it in that short-term period. Unless there is too much, then the glucose is converted into fat, adipose tissue, for long-term storage. So I don't actually go into the specifics of the actual process, but that's what happens. So if you eat too many carbs and you're not utilizing that energy immediately, then it will be stored as fat. That's not what we want usually, unless you are aiming for that, which, I mean, if you're in a bulk, then by all means. But also keep in mind that when you eat too many carbohydrates, carbohydrates are still sugars. These are things, like it's a complex sugar, usually, sometimes. And then there's the simple sugars, the cane sugars. The more simple sugars that you eat, I'm not even going to say simple or complex, I'm just going to say sugars in general, because these can still result in diabetes. Now there's the genetic component to diabetes, and there's the one that's usually obtained through eating too much of something, which is carbohydrates. If you eat too many carbohydrates and you store these fats too often, you will get diabetes. You don't want diabetes because this just causes so many different problems. You want to try your best to eat enough and not too much all the time, because as you get older, this will complicate things. You will have health issues, and you don't want health issues. With carbohydrates, you need 50 to 70% of carbohydrates. With carbohydrates, you can actually go a little bit less. You could actually cut it down to about 20 to 30% instead of 50 to 70%. The reason is because, again, carbohydrates are sugars, both complex and simple. So if you do not need that much energy throughout your day, you could probably survive without too much carbohydrates. However, if you think that you need the energy, if you're more active throughout your day, more carbohydrates would be nice, would be good for you. But also, if you're a diabetic, less is probably better. Just because you're already going through a hard time with that, and the symptoms, honestly, leave it up to your doctor to tell you what to do, because that's out of my range. That's not my scope of practice. Now going into protein. Protein is a bit, I wouldn't say easier, because it's a building block. It is one of those things that you need to build your muscles, to take care of your organs, to make sure that you're sustaining your body in terms of strength and ability. Without protein, your heart wouldn't be very strong, your muscles wouldn't be very strong, or wouldn't be able to maintain. You have to eat protein. And so there are a few ways to eat protein. There's the meats. This is what our ancestors usually resorted to because it was easy. We're hunter-gatherers by nature. So it was something that we could eat and then get right back to it. We didn't have to think too much about balancing proteins. You can balance proteins though with beans, legumes, what else is there? That's the only thing I can really think of. Milk, nuts, and you can balance out proteins, but it does actually take a little bit more thought to do so. So if you just want the quick protein and you just want it, meat. Meat is your go-to. But if you want to actually think about it a little bit more, beans, legumes, nuts, just make sure to get a healthy balance of those things because, if you miss certain proteins for an extended period of time, you will notice certain problems. I'm not too sure what those problems are, but I think that it just really has to do with the way that the muscles operate and the way that everything is put back together or maintained. You just want to make sure that you're getting a balance. If you're not sure how to get that balance, honestly, just stick to meat. But if you're not into meat, if you're a vegetarian or vegan because you don't like the idea of hurting an animal, do your research, talk to doctors, get a dietitian, and make sure that you have all of the sources you need to maintain yourself. I'm not the best source for that, so I'm just giving you the nitty-gritty here. So with proteins, there are 9 essential amino acids that you need from the foods. Altogether, we have 20 plus 2 with our sex chromosomes. We need to maintain these amino acids in order to have those building blocks to take care of our body lifelong and to build muscle. So without protein, you can't really build muscle. Okay, and then when it comes to fats, I didn't even say the number. You need at least 20 to 30% of protein in your daily living. I don't even know if I said carbohydrates. And then proteins, 20 to 30% of your diet. So you just want to make sure that you're eating enough to maintain your muscles, your organs, and everything in between. And then now going to fats. So there are different types of fats, and you can gain them from vegetables, your oils, so like olive oil, vegetable oil, your nuts and legumes, as well as animal fats and fish oils. Now, when it comes to fats, I have a note here, I don't have a note, but there are different kinds of fats. You want to make sure that you get a good balance of all of the fats. Otherwise, we just have to keep in mind that the fats are things that help to protect our cells, our brain. It's like a barrier, and it's a soluble and maybe insoluble. I honestly, I'm not a specialist in this, but we need this in order to maintain our health. These fats are very necessary. It's not like just the fats on our belly or anything like that. These are fats that help to maintain us or protect us, and our cholesterol. I'm reading here, cholesterol. Good note to say here. This is for just fats in general. This imbalance can increase your risk of high blood pressure, hardening of the arteries, heart attack, and stroke. So without fats, you're really just increasing your chances of problems. So this is why these 3 macronutrients are so important. I'll actually be posting this document so that you can specifically see what I'm talking about. But we need these specific macronutrients to maintain all aspects of our health. Now, there'll mainly be 3 macronutrients, but like I said, there's a complexity of all of them so that you can understand, or so that you know that it's not as easy as it sounds. But then again, so long as you eat a variety of foods and get everything you need, you'll be good, you'll be healthy. But it's not that easy. It's not that easy at all. The next thing that I'm going to go over, or just to touch on these, we're going to go over them in the last one: dietary disabilities. So, finally, the end of this specific video. I'll be posting this document just so you can see the triangle. I might actually post it here, just so you can see it. When should we eat? Whenever. It really doesn't matter. It could be nighttime, daytime. Lately, I've been eating 2 times per day, and I feel great. I feel fine. I actually don't eat breakfast. I wait until 2 o'clock in the afternoon until I start eating. I feel fine. I feel great. And actually, my first meal is either oats and nuts and something like that, or a fruit. Maybe I won't eat anything other than a fruit, and then I'll have dinner. I'll feel fine. I know I need to eat a little bit more protein, but protein's expensive. So you do what you have to survive. So lately I'm in a thrive and survive kind of situation. Where should we eat? Wherever. Doesn't really matter, so long as it's clean and you're able to enjoy your food. And then how should we eat? We're meant to eat together. So you know what? We nowadays are so separated that we don't actually have much of an opportunity to eat with other people. But back in our hunter-gatherer days, we would sit around the fire and eat with other people. Unless we were alone and traveling alone, then you can eat anywhere at any time. But this used to be a form of social construct that allowed us to communicate, to talk to each other, and we've kind of lost that. And even sitting at a dinner table nowadays is really hard because we got technology in front of us. So there's certain things that have kind of ruined food and the way to enjoy it, but I think we can bring it back, especially if we have this understanding. Now, this triangle that I wrote up, I'll put it here, actual caloric intake versus actual caloric quality. So if you have a good balance of those two things, then you'll have a good balanced triangle. But let's say that your actual caloric intake is way higher and your actual caloric quality is shit. It's complete poop. Yeah, you're gonna gain weight really easily. You're not gonna have an easy time with weight gain. So that's why having good quality food is important. But then again, if you have too much good quality food, you can still gain weight. The thing is, the weight will look different. So you will notice that the weight from what I've experienced anyways, people who eat healthy but eat too much of it, they usually have a more firm fat. So it's more of like they actually look healthier, a healthier fat. But those who have poopy kinds of foods, those who eat like sugar and a lot of sugar containing foods or easily digestible foods, so things that don't take much for your body to break down, so not too complex of foods, they're the ones who have the more looser fats. They're the ones who have, I guess you could call it the more unappealing looking fat. Yeah, it really is. It does really come down to the quality of the food in that kind of predicament. If you don't eat good quality foods, the type of fats that you gain will be different. So bad fats, bad foods will get you bad fats. Good foods, good quality foods will get you better fats. But like, again, don't eat too much of it because like you really don't need that kind of fat unless you're in a bulk. If you're in a bulk, sure, go wild. But at the same time, is it really necessary? Yeah, all right. And then required caloric intake per unique individual needs. So that's like the baseline. Everyone is different for that. So it's based off your age, your height, and your activity levels throughout your day. If you have a good balanced diet, you will have a good balanced triangle. I came up with this triangle because I felt that it could help to represent the needs of what you need to eat healthy. Yeah, so anyways, I think I'm done with this part. This part, I hope is okay. I've had to redo it a few times just because every time I went and did it, I said something that I didn't like, and I'm definitely gonna edit this video and chop it up. And so it's not gonna be like my other videos where I just kind of went, but it's also because this is not my specialty. This is not something I like talking about all that much, but I know that I have to. I know it's something that you were looking forward to. And yeah, if you have any questions, concerns, comments, feedback, leave them in the comment section. Let's have a discussion. And yeah, anyways, see you in the next video. See you later.